Hello everybody, and by the title, I understand this, you might be a little interested in what I'm having to say. No, I am not saying Skyrim is a bad game. Far from it. I wouldn't have put 3,000 hours total into the game if it wasn't, you know? But I do have to be honest. It's a bad RPG. It's not great. And I want to talk about my reasonings as to why. So, the first thing I want to bring up is the fact that Skyrim itself is a world you can get lost in. But after you have done a quest once or twice and you've seen the different available end results, unless you're going for a particular piece of loot, playing those stories again relatively soon after one another is not enjoyable. You know, you almost kind of have to use mods to blunt the level of, rapidity of it. Now, I will say that while the world is very interesting, the combat, at least in Skyrim, is, while it's not, as RPG-like as previous games, it's certainly the more action-oriented nature of it makes it significantly more enjoyable long-term. God knows I do. While the magic system itself and the spells on offer may not be fantastic in Skyrim, I personally find casting to be a very enjoyable way for me to play. I, broadly speaking, love playing a spell sword build. But I have to be honest, there isn't really much in the way of, if you want to roleplay as something, there really isn't much in the way of feeling that unless you're forcing yourself to do so. Even with something like, I don't know, Morrowind. Even though, you could pick a particular class, you technically couldn't join every single faction in the game. So, you just fundamentally couldn't. You couldn't join, multiple great houses. If you joined one faction, your how much you're liked among members of another faction literally goes down. Literally, if you join say the Mages Guild, you are liked less by House Telvanni and vice versa. And if you are join the Imperial Legion, every single Morrowind-based faction likes you less. I think it's only maybe the Mages Guild that likes you a little bit, because even the Fighters Guild doesn't like you as much. So your actual choices in the game are centered around that roleplay, and you don't really have that in Skyrim. You can be the Archmagus of the College of Winterhold, the Listener of the Dark Brotherhood, the Harbinger of the Companions, and the fucking Guildmaster of the Thieves Guild, and there's no repercussions for any of those contradicting playstyles. In theory, the Thieves Guild shouldn't like the Dark Brotherhood because they kill and the thieves don't like killing. It's bad for business. Mages warriors shouldn't like, if you join the Companion, any other of the four main factions that aren't the Companions, they'll not like you. The only faction that they lore-wise should enjoy, be okay with you, is maybe the Bard's College. And if you're in the Dark Brotherhood, they're supposed to be religious zealots. Not really. They're more of a normal faction, at least for most of the story. But they shouldn't. But given how culty they are, they probably wouldn't want you to be a member of, be a member of other factions. Godspeed, frickin' Astrid's husband is a former member of the Companions. He shouldn't want you there. He shouldn't want someone who's still an active member of the Companions as one of them. In the Mages College, they don't want thieves. Wouldn't want you to, if they knew you were, they wouldn't want you to be a part of, like, the Thieves Guild. And they probably wouldn't want you to be a companion either, because they look down on big, muscly, dumb idiots. You know, having, like, but you wouldn't be able to experience certain pieces of content otherwise. Like, you literally have to join, like, start the process of joining the College of Winterhold to even progress in the main storyline, for Christ's sake. That paired with, you know, heavy armor supremacy, the general, like, how weak some of the skills are by default, and broadly speaking, the lack of a lot of the quests having a severe lack of replayability. It kind of makes sense that, like, you don't really feel as much, like, this might not be true for everybody, but personally, and for me and many others I've talked to, I've put as many hours. There is the consistency. Skyrim is not a good RPG. It is a great game, but it is not a good RPG. It is a world you can be lost in, and that is, broadly speaking, what I see Bethesda moving towards. That's what they have kind of gotten better at doing, you know? I get lost in Bethesda's worlds, the worlds they build. I want to see everything, find everything, look under every nook and cranny. It appeases the loot goblin side of my brain, but do I really want to go do the Companions quest for the 8th time? Not at all. Mods help, certainly, but even then, like, even to today, I have a hard time sticking with it. I think one thing I'm certainly going to do, especially before Starfield comes out, is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to take the time to go play through both Skyrim and Fallout 4 again, and maybe on stream and just enjoy it. And just take my time. So, you know, something like Cyberpunk, despite all its issues, feels more like an RPG you're role-playing in. Because you're not doing anything and everything. You're given 3 distinct backstories, and you roleplay within those backstories. Now, you can be as much of a dickhead or virtuous as you want to be within that, but because of the relatively narrow scope of role-playing, it makes the role-playing experience significantly better. And, you know, despite the launch issues on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, Cyberpunk is, in my personal opinion, despite all of the issues that it had and the negative press that stains it, one of the better RPGs that have come out in the last few years. At least mainstream ones. In conclusion, Skyrim is a great game. It's lacking a lot of the things that I feel would make it a better role-playing game. And frankly, it's hard to make a good role-playing game that gets you as absorbed in the world, you know, while also giving you plenty of options. Now, you can play The Witcher for hours, but you're not role-playing as Gunny MacGuffin, the stealthy, stabby stabomancer who uses magic and stealth to slay his enemies. You're playing as Geralt of Rivia. And I think, while I think the abundance of choice given by Bethesda games is to its benefit, I find it hard to enjoy the games from an RPG standpoint long term. And it's part of the reason I will say I do like Fallout 4. The crafting, the settlement building, and all that nonsense makes the experience significantly more enjoyable, and it would be a lot harder to replay the game without them. Final thoughts? Skyrim's still good, and if you somehow have not played it, and by this date of recording in the year of our Lord 2022, you should go do so and enjoy it. Being able to play Skyrim from beginning to end is certainly an experience that I wish I could do again.